Hardik Pandya is an incredible cricketer. He can average more than 30 with the bat at faster than a runner ball. He's a good fifth bowler and a great sixth one, not to mention a plus in the field. There is no doubt that Hardik Pandya came into this World Cup as one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable, limited overs cricketers in the world. Almost any other cricket nation in the world will pass over their favourite pop star just to get him into the side. And yet, since Hardik Pandya got injured, has India actually been better? This video is brought to you by Wicket Cricket Manager. This show was made by HCLTech, a company that believes in partnerships so much you can read their name on the Australian shirt. This show leans in hard on data and technology, so we are proud to work with HCLTech, leaders in their field. So how is this so that India have not noticed the loss of perhaps one of the most valuable players around? First, let's look at how good he was. Between the two World Cups, Hardik Pandya featured in 28 matches. He scored 801 runs from 23 innings at an average of 40, with a strike rate of 104. Any player in the world would take these numbers. To do that when you can bowl and are batting down the order is a pretty special combination. Oh, and with the ball, he picked up 25 wickets at 26 runs with an economy of 5.34. I want you to pause for a moment, because those are not the numbers of a sixth option. That is a frontline bowler right there. Now, some of it is because he bowls in a great attack and he doesn't always have to do the dog hard overs of everyone else. But even so, those numbers are pretty good. And let me put it this way. He was the 9th quickest batter with at least 500 runs while batting from 4 to 7 in the world. Also, he had the 9th best bowling average for all paces with a minimum of 25 wickets. In the last cycle, he was good enough to be picked for most teams in the world for batting or bowling. So after Hardik twisted his ankle in the Bangladesh game, we asked at the time if Hardik was the most important player for the Indian team. That's not to downplay Virat, Rohit or Bumrah, who are all-time greats in their positions. But none of them could provide the balance of an all-rounder who was in brilliant form leading up to this World Cup. To replace Hardik, India had to make 2 changes, because they had to shore up the batting and the bowling. He was the rug that completely tied the room together. That meant that Sky and Shami were in and Shardul was now benched. This meant that India had no batting depth beyond number 7 and just 5 frontline bowlers in their playing 11. And surely as dynamic a batter as Sky is, you'd have to agree that Hardik is a way better and more experienced one-day international player. However, Shami just casually walked off the bench and is now the highest wicket taker despite playing 4 games fewer than most of the major contenders. He has now taken 23 wickets at 9. 9! He is striking every 2 overs. And I think it would be a fair argument to consider this one of the greatest bowling campaigns ever in a World Cup. Stark in 2015 probably still needs to be mentioned, but that is for another day. So that is already a massive upgrade on Shardul Thakur, who with all due respect is not in the same tier of bowling. He's not in the tier below. He's not even in the tier below that. In fact, Hardik's injury meant that they could move on from using Shardul as a backup bowler and a backup batter. They essentially had a non-playing all-rounder in the team. That's one reason they've got better. Now, Shami has obviously been magnificent, but you can also see that there are many bowlers in this side who've been extremely economical and also picked up quite a lot of wickets. Siraj is the only one who hasn't been an elite level performer, and even then he's been pretty good. The Indian team management, of course, have also talked about how Virat Kohli could be a potential 6 bowling option. And it was certainly funny when he managed to get Scott Edwards out with a terrible delivery. I believe he's the sort of part-timer that might get tricky to face in micro doses on the right kinds of wickets. But if Siraj or Bumrah roll their ankle on a really good batting pitch, India have a near void 10 overs to fill. But that hasn't happened, and so Hardik's injury has not hurt them there. And I've also talked a lot about the Evan Gulbis effect, which essentially means when you have a weak at number 8, it means that your top order batters look at the team sheet and they slow down a little bit. Let's take Virat Kohli. He strikes at over a run a ball in the games with Shardul in the 11. However, his strike rate without him is in the 80s. We have to also factor in pitch and match situation into those things, and it is a small sample size. Also, in the first games, they were chasing fairly simple targets, so maybe it was more natural for Kohli to have a strike rate over 100. But I do believe that not having a strong number 8 has probably affected Virat a little bit. If you look at his South Africa innings, when Shami was in the side, Virat decided to knock it around even at the death while Sky and Jadeja attacked. Part of this was perhaps a team strategy given South Africa's chasing struggles. But Kohli also mentioned the importance of batting deep at the halfway point of that game. But the truth is that India haven't needed to bat deep because their top 5 has been incredible. Rohit has been the aggressor at the top order and got absolutely nuts in the power play, but is still making a lot of runs. Virat is the anchor and also has the most runs in this World Cup. Shreyas Iyer has been absolutely magnificent, playing freely and attacking while scoring. The only thing that slowed Shubman Gill down was dengue fever. He's been more than fine since he came back. And of course, King legend Rahul. He is the opener you need when you lose a lot of wickets early on, and also an aggressor when needed later in the innings. Now, what about number 6? Sky. He's played a couple of crucial cameos against England and South Africa. He batted towards the end versus Netherlands and New Zealand in the semi-final. He was run out against New Zealand and failed against Sri Lanka. The thing about him is, we know he has not made a lot of ODI runs in his career. But if India's top order continue to bat as long as they have, his inability to average those high numbers doesn't matter. Because essentially what you're doing is you're turning it into a T20 situation and all you want is for him to go boom. Now, if Hardik was fit, he could replicate his power and also be better at scoring in general. But because of how good India's top order has been, Sky has been absolutely fit for purpose. And Hardik's injury has also been mitigated by Ravi Jadeja. He was in a terrible form slump with his batting coming into this World Cup, but he's been pretty impactful in the limited opportunities he's been needed. He stepped up 3 of the 4 games, right? So have India been better without Hardik Pandya? Yes. But not because he is gone, but because it has meant that India had to pick an extra strike bowler, and because their batting in the top 5 has been so strong that you could have used a pickled egg at number 6 and they'd still be winning matches. If Hardik was fit right now, they would keep Shami in this side, and Hardik would obviously slot in at number 6 in this team, ensuring bowling injuries did not matter. But if you really want to know how good India have been in this World Cup, they lost an incredible one-day international force, and they actually played better.